Back with you on Hittin Hard with John Chuckery here on Locked On Sports Atlanta. Head over to youtube.com, put Locked On Sports Atlanta into your search browser. When you get there, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, free and available also on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to download Spotify, Odyssey, wherever you like. You can leave us a 5-star review. And of course, give me a follow on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. You know, we got good news yesterday from the Braves, despite the 14-4 loss yesterday, but the All-Star voting now moves from phase 1 into phase 2. And one of the pieces of information that we got is that in the All-Star voting, the two top vote getters got a starting nod. Well, in the American League, that's Aaron Judge, who's having a monster year. But we also got word that Ronald Acuna Jr. is the top vote getter in the National League. Now, look, I know some people may be like, what? Yeah, huh? But look, I know Ronnie's only played 43 games. I know he came off injury and he's missed some other time and things like that and had some nagging injuries. But you can't deny how good Ronald Acuna Jr. is. 281 with a 372 on base, an 828 OP, 13 steals, 7 homers. He scored 28 runs. Ronnie is one of the top stars in all of Major League Baseball. He is one of the dynamic players. He's also one of the very few players that is one of the great kind of all-around players, right? He's a guy that's an offensive force hitting the home run. He's a great on-base guy. He's a terrific base stealer. And he's one of the most aggressive players in all of Major League Baseball while still being an outstanding defensive player. He has everything that you could ask for. So nobody should have an argument that Ronnie isn't one of the top stars. Yeah, it kind of sucks that he's been hurt this year. Yeah, if he wasn't named a starter, would he get in? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe there's some other guys because of how much they played this year. But you can't deny Ronnie's talent. You can't deny the fact that he isn't one of the true superstars in Major League Baseball with everything that you can do. And if you watch the Braves closely, you know as well as I do, there's nobody that stirs the drink in this Braves order, on this lineup, on this team than Ronnie. There's no player in Major League Baseball that creates more havoc on the base paths. There's no player that puts more pressure on pitching and defense. When he gets on base, it changes the dynamic of a game. And when he comes up, his ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark or hit one in the gap or draw a walk or get himself on base, you know, he's a 400 on base guy the last couple of years. Look, he changes up the complexion of your lineup. As Reggie Jackson, you know, was famously quoted, the straw that stirs the drink, that's what Ronald Acuna Jr. is. But the other part of this, too, that's amazing about Braves Nation is look through the guys that are up for all-star spots this year. So in phase 2, where you're going to pick one of 2 guys to be your starters, right? Look at the catcher spot. It's Wilson Contreras, that's Williams' brother, and Travis d'Arnaud. Now, d'Arnaud is having a really good year, but he's represented. Go to second base. Ozzie Albies is the leading vote getter in the National League at second base. Jazz Chisholm is the other guy. And look, Chisholm's going to win this thing because Ozzie's on the 60-day IL. But the fact that Ozzie not having a great year is this high up says a lot about Braves Nation. Go to shortstop, Trey Turner and Dansby Swanson. Swanson is going to be an all-star. There's no question about it. There are a few known things about the all-star team. Now that we know Ronnie's going to be out, Dansby's going to be an all-star. He's having a career year. He's had an outstanding year. In fact, don't tell anybody, but he may be about to become a $20 million shortstop in the league. And as I've predicted on this show before, he's going to win the All-Star Ballot, win the Gold Glove out of all of this. And if you look at the DH spot, William Contreras and Bryce Harper. Well, obviously Harper's going to be hurt. Most likely Contreras gets that spot. And somehow Adam Duvall, for all of his struggles, is in the top 4 for outfielders to catch a spot. It's crazy to think how well Braves Nation has represented. Now, let me talk to you about our friends over at Arcade 1-Up. They're sponsoring today's show. NBA Jam is back. Arcade 1-Up, the leader in home retro arcade games, is not only bringing back the best game ever, but they're making it even bigger with their Shaq Edition machine. Now, listen, We all know how great NBA Jam was back in the day. This is one of the first pro sports games ever that featured real and digitized NBA licensed team. No fouls, no free throws, no quarters required. Compete with friends and family through all the new Wi-Fi leaderboards. And again, you can go right now and pre-order from arcade1up.com. That's arcade, the number one, up.com. You can pre-order for an estimated early September ship this new Shaq Edition arcade game that they've got coming up out there. So they've also got all of your other favorites. They've got Golden Tee. They've got Mortal Kombat. Many more games just starting at $3.99. So I want you to listen to this deal, though, okay? They are giving away an NBA Jam Shaq Edition to a Locked On listener. So enter for a chance to win a game console for your man cave at arcade1up.com/locked-on. That's arcade, the number one, up.com/locked-on. You've got till July 8th to enter to win an NBA Jam Shaq Edition console. Don't miss out today on all of it. But it's amazing to think that how many Braves players are in the mix now for the All-Star game. Now, maybe some are deserving, maybe some aren't. Ozzy's not going to make it because he's on the IL. Contreras, absolutely, for what he's done this year, deserves a spot and deserves a chance to get it. Max Fried is going to be one of the starting pitchers. With all due respect, he's been as good as any left-hander in baseball this year. He's had an outstanding season. Kyle Wright, after his performance, we talked about this the other night. How are you going to leave Kyle Wright off the team? Oh, yeah, don't forget the manager for the All-Star team is Brian Snitker, so it's going to help that as well. Now, Adam Duvall, that may be a different case and things like that, but the fact that d'Arnaud, Duvall, Contreras, Ozzy, Dansby, the fact that there are so many of these guys at the top of the list and they are one of the finalists for this All-Star team, it speaks a lot to how big Braves Nation is, right? Speaks to how big and how much of a reach and influence that this franchise has in Major League Baseball. Now, again, I understand that the All-Star game in a lot of ways is a popularity contest when you talk about the starters and things like that. But the Braves do have plenty of guys that deserve the shot or deserve to be in the mix. Contreras, Dansby, even Ronnie to a degree, those guys all deserve a shot. d'Arnaud is a guy who should probably get a shot and looked at. Riley's probably a guy who will make the All-Star team as well. Again, Machado and Arenado are having outstanding years, so I can understand him not being in the top two, but he'll probably get himself on there. I think he's one of the top one or two guys in the league and National League in home runs this year. So he's, maybe not had quite the same years he did last year, but he's still bopping the ball all around. And think about Matt Olson. I mean, think about how good the first base position is in the National League. Goldschmidt's the MVP of the league right now, right? I mean, he's most likely the MVP of the league. And the Braves probably have a chance to get maybe one more. Maybe Duvall does make. I doubt it. I mean, he's only hitting 200. I can't imagine that he's going to win one of those spots out there. But Fried's going to be an All-Star. Jansen's probably going to be an All-Star. Kyle Wright's got to be an All-Star at this point. He's on pace to win 20 games and 200 innings and 200 strikeouts. So it is amazing how much the Braves fan base has been able to rally the troops and get some of these guys in positions. And look, I don't care that Ronnie's played 43 games this year in baseball. If he's healthy and he can play, he's supposed to be a starting outfielder in the All-Star game, right? I mean, he's supposed to be. That's where he's supposed to be. I don't know if Dansby's going to win the spot at short, but I can tell you he's been as good as any shortstop in Major League Baseball this year. Yes, it helps that Harper has been hurt, so Contreras probably has a real legitimate shot, but you think about he's been one of the better surprises for the Braves this year. In fact, he's got more homers this year than he had in his career at this point. So a lot of kudos and a lot of accolades and bouquets of flowers and everything else has to go to Braves Nation for them rallying the troops and the fact that they have come out in full force to support their team in bringing the All-Stars. I promise you, especially with Snitker as the manager, you can like this or not like this, but with Snitker as the manager, you're not going to have to worry about this team being underrepresented. And they have plenty of guys that are deserving of it. As, oh, by the way, we're just a few games behind the Mets now, and it looks like this pennant race is, possibly about to flip on its ear. But we'll discuss that at another time, because the Mets are all in their feelings and everything right now. All right, when we get back, it's time to embrace change in the world of college football. It's time to wrap your arms around what is happening. It's Hitting Hard with John Chuckery on Locked On Sports Atlanta.